The man reborn became the villain in the novel. He didn't know that his inner thoughts could be heard by the female leads. This also caused the male lead to frequently flip over. But Chris is, after all, a man with the halo of the male lead. Just as he had just hit a wall with Zoe, he quickly composed himself and gave a wicked smile to Shirley. "Can you smile normally? If your mouth doesn't look crooked, you'll die, right? I can't beat you either. If I could, I would have taped your mouth shut a long time ago." Theo is on the side constantly complaining. Zoe, upon hearing this voice, tried hard to keep her head down and hold back from laughing out loud. Shirley also heard Theo's complaints. But at this moment, she was not in the mood to laugh. After just returning to the company, she immediately suspended the project and mobilized all the resources of the Wang family to start an investigation. After her investigation, the situation indeed turned out to be the same as what Theo had said. Her cousin Noah has been pushing forward the new energy project, which she believes is a trap. She needs to conduct further investigation to find out the specifics. Otherwise, acting based on insufficient evidence will only startle the snake in the grass. She walked to the bedside and held her grandfather's hand to show her concern, then walked out of the courtyard with a group of people. Zoe's phone alarm suddenly went off, indicating that she needed to go out for a volunteer medical consultation. The members of the Wang family smiled and greeted Zoe one after another. Zoe nodded and winked at Theo, saying, "Theo, why didn't you greet me?" Theo forced a smile and waved his hand, saying, "Little sister, it's not that I don't want to greet you. I just don't dare. Chris is an idiot for treating you like his woman. Get closer to me. He wants to mess with me." Zoe was a bit speechless after hearing Theo's heartfelt words. She was treating herself as his woman. Chris is extremely unhappy at the moment. He wishes he could punch to death the woman Theo likes. How can she call someone else brother in such an affectionate manner? However, his expression remains calm. He even took the initiative to greet Zoe. Zoe's expression changed instantly. After giving Chris a few words, she snorted coldly and walked away. Chris instantly became furious. It was the first time in his life that hitting on a girl had gone so wrong. But he couldn't lose his temper now, because the plan to pick up girls wasn't over yet. Shirley was still here. He glanced at Noah next to him, and Noah immediately understood. He walked up to Shirley and introduced Chris to her. Chris took a deep breath, then resumed his signature devilish smile. Shirley just gave him a cold look. "Has anyone ever told you something? Your smile is disgusting." Chris's smile on his face instantly froze. This comment has hurt his pride. Theo couldn't help but burst into laughter. Chris immediately turned his head and glared at him fiercely, his eyes full of murderous intent. Theo was stared at by him, feeling cold sweat running down his back. He cursed silently in his heart. "Why are you being fierce to me? It's not like I cursed at you. Besides, you originally laughed disgustingly. Can't you see that by looking in the mirror?" Several members of the Wang family saw him, looking fierce and evil towards Theo. They immediately expressed their dissatisfaction and started to criticize him. Theo was deeply moved and truly felt like crying. "You guys really stand up for me. Next time, please don't stand up for me anymore. Stand up for me a few more times. I will really be gone later." The man was reborn as the villain in the novel. He found himself being helped everywhere he went. And this action also angered the male lead because it was the first time he had suffered a loss in the Wang family after living for so long. More importantly, it was the first time he had been rejected by two beautiful women. To eradicate Theo Chris, he arranged for his own men to infiltrate the Tang group. After leaving the Wang family, Chris stood on the side of the road and dialed a phone number. "How is Area's infiltration of the Tang group going?" "It has been successful. My current identity is the secretary of the general manager." "Very well. You have 1 week. Give me everything I need. A month later, I want Sioux region without Tang Famo." And at this moment, still in the Wang family, Theo suddenly sneezed. At this point, a prompt from the system came through. The host successfully survived the second part of the plot. Reward: immunity to all kinds of poisons. The reward this time did please Theo quite a bit. Immunity to all kinds of poisons is a good thing. With this skill, the hope of surviving until the end increased by 1 more point. Theo, who was in a good mood, was about to slip away when Shirley blocked his way. "Why are you blocking my way? I know you have a crush on me. But this is not right. Because I am the man you can never have. Your destiny is not with me. It's with Chris, do you understand? The man you can never have. Yet I still want to have you," she said sadly. "Are you so repulsed by me, your ex-girlfriend?" Theo snorted coldly. "If I'm not repulsed by you, I would be asking for trouble. Little sister, I'm just a villain trying to survive. I can't compete with the protagonist for a woman. This is called not meant to be, understand?" Shirley nodded and suddenly furrowed her brows, pointing ahead. Theo subconsciously turned his head and widened his eyes to look over, thinking that Chris was coming to bother him. But when he turned around, he found that there was actually no one there. Theo looked frustrated and just turned his head back when his mouth landed on Shirley's face. She took advantage of Theo turning his head and deliberately leaned in very close. In this way, as long as Theo turns his head, his mouth will definitely land on her face. And she was still holding her phone in her hand, using the front camera to record a video. So the scene of Theo kissing her on the face was captured by the phone. Theo is in big trouble. Are you still the female lead? Is this something a human would do? Still recording a video. This time it's over. If that dumbass Chris sees it, I might as well be dead. Theo frowned and reached out a hand. Let her name a price. It can always be solved with money. It just so happens to make Shirley think of herself as a vulgar person who only cares about money. Shirley sighed and shook her head. Being a highly intelligent business genius, after listening to the inner thoughts for a while, she had fully understood. She realized that the world she was in is like a novel. Following the original plot, Theo is the villain while she is Chris' harem. She had already begun to investigate Chris' background. If given the chance, this guy won't have a chance to leave the Sioux region alive. Theo scowled and lowly threatened her to delete the video. What do you really want? You don't want money, so what do you want? Do you want my pure and clean body? Let me go if you have any sense. My Tang family is the first family in the Sioux region. The deterrent power is here, do you understand or not? Shirley shook her phone and said with a smile, "Then you turn your face. If you turn your face, I will post the video on Moments." Theo pretended to stay calm. But if this video gets circulated, he's really finished. Have you seen any villain who kissed the male lead and survived the harem? After hearing Theo's inner thoughts, Shirley has learned how to handle him. She grabbed Theo's arm and urged him to follow her into the house. Theo shook his head desperately. Every cell in his body was resisting. After Shirley's repeated threats, Theo obediently followed her into the house. This was Theo's first time entering her boudoir. The room was messy, with things scattered all over the place. There were also a few items of clothing thrown on the bed and sofa. Theo deliberately put on a cold expression and said in a cold voice, "Why is this room so messy? It's not like you to not allow anyone to tidy up." He just wouldn't give up. Even the dog from his hometown would avoid him when it saw him. Such a proud beauty. Is it really so difficult to make her hold a grudge against him? Shirley smiled and said, "Isn't he just about to get himself cleaned up?" Theo looked puzzled. Let himself clean up the room? The man reborn has become the villain in the novel. He was tricked by his ex-girlfriend into taking an intimate video of them together, in order to prevent the male lead from finding out and to survive until the end. He had to agree to his ex-girlfriend Shirley's unreasonable request to help her clean up the house. Like many of his ex-girlfriends, Shirley asked about Theo's emotional experiences. Theo knows that women dislike unfaithful men the most. He didn't hesitate to pour dirty water on himself. To be honest, I currently have 4 girlfriends. Do you think I'm disgusting? In recent years, I have been busy being a simp and haven't even touched a girl's hand, right? If you're not happy, just drive me away. Remember, unreliable men like me, who are rich and handsome, are not to be trusted. Shirley's expression instantly changed from gloomy to sunny. I need to come up with a way to provoke her a little more. It would be good if she gets angry and drives me away. Theo's eyes rolled. His gaze locked onto a cute white bra. He deliberately brought it up, revealing a lewd grin. He turned his head and looked at Shirley, leering and laughing. The sound of the camera shutter instantly rang out. Shirley sighed as she held her phone in her hand. Theo is so silly. Wow. Why are you not playing by the rules? Why did you use a phone to take candid shots? Over the past few years, why have you become so insidious? This is definitely not something Shirley would do in the original book storyline. I give up. I won't do anything anymore, okay? I was originally thinking of avoiding Chris, but now it seems I have to avoid the female leads themselves as well. Seeing Theo is almost done packing up, Shirley said with a smile, I'm planning to invest in new energy recently. What do you think? Theo's eyes lit up. Well, finally she's talking about this, he thought. Although Chris is a jerk, it doesn't hurt to play matchmaker for them today. You two should start dating soon. I want to retire early and enjoy life, he said. New energy is a good business. The business world in the next 10 years will definitely be dominated by new energy. He raised his thumb in admiration. Hurry up and get into new energy. Believe in yourself. This project will definitely make big money. The premise is that the cooperation partners are reliable. Are you partnering with F Company? This company is really unreliable. When the project falls into your hands, it's time for Chris to step in. I understand. Today, Shirley and Chris had a disagreement. Conflicts sometimes lay the groundwork for emotional growth. Shirley's smile became more pronounced. Since you are so optimistic about it, I've decided to invest in this project. However, I still have doubts about F Company from France. Is this silly girl's intuition getting sharper? F Company does have issues, but Chris has managed to cover them up. Their accounting practices will be exposed sooner or later. As for their touted new energy technology, it is currently not mature. There are significant safety issues. To put it bluntly, it's a scam company. Shirley was already laughing so hard that she felt she had completely mastered Theo's usage, as if she had a remote control in her hand. She looked at Theo and asked again, I plan to delegate the project to Noah. Do you think his abilities are sufficient for this project? Theo praised Noah enthusiastically. He was thrilled beyond words. Everything is finally back to normal. If I remember correctly, the deputy general manager surnamed Lee in your company is on the same page as Noah. He is aware of this. He took a $1 billion bribe from Noah. Intentionally, he helped to cover up. Shirley squinted her eyes. Lee. After Theo neatly arranged the cosmetics on the table, he didn't leave in a hurry. Instead, he looked at her phone. It means that you haven't deleted the videos and photos yet. Shirley pouted dissatisfiedly, saying, The photos and videos have already been deleted. You can check if you don't believe me. Do you think it's glorious for me to keep such things? Theo nodded vigorously, turned around, and ran off. Finally escaped from Shirley's clutches. Worked hard all day. He finally got the plot back on track. Zoe seems a little off. However, Chris has already said that he will challenge her grandfather, so I guess their story will start from here. As for Quinn, this woman is definitely on the same page as Chris. No wonder she's the first female lead. She is willing to go as far as acting and marrying someone else just to protect Chris. Truly remarkable. The man reborn has become the villain in the novel. But he can be heard because of his inner voice. As a result, he gained the favor of the female leads. He had just been tricked by his ex-girlfriend. His fiancée, who couldn't get a divorce, came looking for him again. Quinn hesitated for a long time holding her phone. In the end, she sent a WeChat message to Theo. "Are you free tonight? I want to chat with you." Theo was driving on the road when he suddenly received a message from Quinn. He looked at it and was stunned. After thinking for a moment, he decisively parked the car on the side of the road to reply to the message. "Talking about breaking off the engagement. You should have told me earlier. Let's quickly explain to our respective parents." Quinn replied with a series of ellipses. Very speechless. What does it mean to reply with ellipses to me? Theo originally wanted to respond like this, but then felt it was too low class. Too annoying. But there's no need to discredit oneself too much. So he displayed the quality standard that should come with 9 years of compulsory education. Speak directly and leave if you have nothing important to say. Contact me again when you're ready to divorce. Quinn was so angry that tears welled up in her eyes. This cold attitude, the stark contrast from before, was too much for her to bear. After quickly responding a few words, Theo burst into laughter while holding his phone. With his own attitude like this, how could he continue to deceive himself? Suddenly, another message popped up in the chat box. "You jerk! I'm not going to divorce. I'm going to marry into your family. Just wait and see." Theo was so scared that his hands trembled. The phone almost fell to the ground. He quickly sent a message back, but got a red exclamation mark indicating an error. In the original book plot, Quinn indeed has a very stubborn personality. Once he decides on something, he won't change his mind. Shouldn't this stubbornness be attributed to Chris instead? Theo turned pale. He had finally felt that his plan was about to succeed. Now Quinn's actions have left him dumbfounded. Just then, the phone lit up again. Theo widened his eyes and took a look, only to discover a note saying that Elias, the young master of the Qin family, one of the 4 major families in the Sioux region. In the original novel's plot, he and Theo were known as the 4 young masters of the Sioux region. He was also Theo's loyal little brother and follower. But the endings of both him and Theo, this pair of troubled brothers, were very tragic. Theo was kicked into a vegetative state and died. He was slightly better off. He was poisoned to death by Chris. Upon seeing the message from Elias, Theo suddenly had an inspiration. Yes, seeking help from outside might be a good idea. "Where are you? I'll come find you to play. I am playing at Galaxy. Can you come?" Elias mentioned that Galaxy is a large entertainment venue. There are all kinds of activities to play. It's quite bustling. As a loyal fan of Simp, Theo used to stay away from such places. But now, Theo doesn't care about these things. Soon, Theo drove to the entrance of the entertainment club named Galaxy. It was still light outside at that moment. The Galaxy Club was already very lively. Elias led Theo to the number 1 stage area. This was his exclusive seat. As soon as he sat down, drinks were quickly brought over. After taking a sip of his drink, Elias asked in confusion, "Bro, didn't you just get engaged to Quinn? If she finds out you're here, wouldn't these 3 years of effort be in vain?" Theo quickly set down his glass and turned on his phone, showing the chat logs to Elias with a glance. After Elias finished reading, he felt a dizzying sensation in his head. "Big brother, you finally stopped being a simp. Honestly, if it weren't for our brotherly bond, I would have cut ties with you long ago." He poured Theo another glass with the bottle in his hand. He insisted on having a drink with him to celebrate. Theo humbly asked Elias for advice. "What do you say to make her stop bothering me?" Elias looked proud and said, "It's simple. Just learn from me and be indifferent." At the age of 17, he found out about the arranged marriage. After knowing that his fiancée was a big girl weighing nearly 200 pounds, he matured overnight. To stop this marriage, he became the most famous nightclub prince in the Sioux region. As a result, the marriage arrangement fell through completely. Theo suddenly woke up. The master was right. To live, being low-key is not enough. The reason why those villains in the light novels are hated by the female leads is simply because they are full of tricks and schemes. Elias immediately arranged everything. Soon, women of different appearances surrounded him. The man was reborn as the villain in the novel. He divorced the female lead he had been simping for 3 years. He didn't hesitate to let his friends turn him into a playboy. Elias, with his rich experience, offered advice on the side. After giving instructions, he took out his phone and shot a 10-second video. Theo watched the video twice. He was quite satisfied. He looked quite ghostly in the video. Several beautiful women also cooperated quite well. Elias grinned and immediately posted the short video using his own account. His short video account has over 6 million followers. Among those who interact with him, Quinn was tagged to ensure that she could see the video. He has long been displeased with this woman. Day by day, he puts on airs, causing his big brother's face to be completely lost in the circle. At this moment, Quinn is resting at home. After watching short videos at home for a while, her phone suddenly notified her that Elias mentioned her. Then a sense of loss and grievance surged in her heart. She cried for a while. Suddenly, she realized that something was wrong. This guy never used to live it up like this before. When he goes out to have fun, he even asks Elias to take a short video for him to watch. She decided to go to Galaxy Club in person, just to see what this guy was up to. Anyway, she could hear his thoughts. So she took out her phone and called Theo. Theo couldn't help but smile slightly when he saw her call. Sure enough, the plan was arranged smoothly. She must be coming to argue with him. Unexpectedly, Quinn's voice of grievance came from the phone. What do you mean by that? Have I done something to annoy you? Wait for me, I'll come find you. After saying that, Quinn hung up the phone. Theo furrowed his brow as he held his phone. This woman must be possessed. Then he suddenly realized. She must continue to act in order to protect Chris. Playing the whole game. This woman is really scheming. Luckily, I have realized it. At this moment, Elias suddenly slapped his thigh and said, I have a date with a beautiful woman tonight. She is definitely a top-notch beauty. At least on the same level as Quinn. Elias smiled mysteriously and started contacting the other party with his phone. After waiting for about 10 minutes, a graceful figure walked over. In terms of appearance alone, this woman doesn't lose to Quinn, the top beauty in the Sioux region. Theo smiled and held the other person's icy cold jade-like hand. Suddenly, his pupils constricted in reaction. Oh my god! Isn't this Jade-Face Fox? Chris, this guy acts so quickly. It's arranged just like that. Her target shouldn't be me. It's Elias, right? At this moment, Theo's heart is greatly shocked. The same. Maya, who shook hands with him, was also startled. Suddenly she heard Theo's inner thoughts. She almost thought her identity was exposed. She is one of the pieces intentionally sent over by Chris. She is also one of the elite members at the top level of the Dragon Soul group. Theo awkwardly smiled and quickly released Maya's hand. He glanced at Elias. This guy is smirking proudly and saying, What do you think, bro? Am I loyal enough? This is an assassin. The target is you. You pushed her to me. After hearing Theo's thoughts for the second time, Maya was 100% certain. This was not ventriloquism. She was listening to this guy's inner thoughts. Maya took a deep breath. Although her identity had been exposed, she was confident that she could easily escape from here. Better stay for now. Observe a little more before making a move. This guy is also Chris's target. Theo raised his glass with a forced smile. Right now, all he wanted to do was to run away quickly. The man was reborn as the villain in the novel. He deliberately created an image of himself as a playboy. And his goal is only to divorce the female lead. Unexpectedly, he encountered the top killer under the male lead's command. In order to avoid being taken out so quickly, Theo subconsciously shifted his body to the side. He first created some distance to feel safer before acting. and this action was noticed by Maya. Maya smiled and asked, "What's wrong, Theo? Are you feeling unwell?" Theo laughed and said that his butt was a bit sore from sitting for too long. He told Maya not to come over and reminded her not to forget her original intentions. "Your goal is our Elias. Do you know to go chat with him? Brother, don't worry. Big brother will remind you later to run away and hide overseas. I won't stand by and do nothing." Maya's mouth twitched. This guy is quite loyal. But how did he know about the organization's plan? It seems that this person is not that simple. According to the original plot, Chris, full of ambition, first targeted the 4 major families in the Sioux region when he returned to the country. In order to control the 4 major families, besides chasing girls, he also had to kick away obstacles one by one. Elias, as the male heir of the Chin family, is his stumbling block. So he sent out several elites. Jade-faced Fox Maya is in charge of the Chin family. After she approached Elias, she used her beauty to control him. She then went to hook up with another young noble. In the end, the two clashed. Elias was poisoned to death by the jade-faced fox. The Chin family thought it was the young master who did it. After the two families went to war, Chris took advantage of the situation. After carefully recalling the plot, Theo breathed a sigh of relief. He remembered, the rules of the Dragon Soul group are very strict. Tasks must not be changed casually. This woman and I were just playing along. Her real target is still Elias and another unfortunate guy. In that case, I don't need to panic too much. Just play my role well. Let her feel disgusted and leave on her own. Maya slightly furrowed her brow upon hearing all this. This guy actually knows Dragon Soul Group so well. He is definitely not an ordinary person. After adjusting his mindset, Theo took the initiative to move his body and stood next to Maya with a sly smile. Maya then leaned against Theo, sending him flirtatious glances. She wanted to see how much this guy really knew about their organization. Theo's mind was filled with doubts. This isn't following the usual script. If your target is Elias, shouldn't you be staring at him instead? Could it be that she knows Elias likes to play the Minotaur and is acting like this on purpose to show Elias? That works too. Just keep acting. We can use you later to deal with that foolish woman Quinn. But Chris is also despicable. He doesn't let any woman in the organization go. He deliberately assigns them dangerous tasks that cannot be completed, then he plays the hero. He does everything by himself. Theo feels deeply emotional about this in his heart. At this moment, Maya is extremely shocked. In the past 2 years, she has failed in missions twice. Both times, Chris intervened to save her, and he even got seriously injured while trying to save her. This made her deeply touched in her heart. But now, after hearing Theo's words, she suddenly realized that something was amiss. At this moment, Quinn finally made an appearance. Upon seeing another woman, who was just as attractive as her, nestled in Theo's arms, she couldn't help but feel enraged. Theo smiled faintly. Finally, he had managed to make this annoying woman wait. See that? I am hugging such a stunning beauty. Can you still endure it? Don't hesitate. Go ahead and lose your temper. Today, I will allow you to splash me with alcohol on my face. Quinn heard the guy's true intentions and instantly understood his plan. Indeed, this guy deliberately posted short videos to provoke him, trying to force him to give up on the engagement. He was not going to fulfill his wish. Her expression suddenly softened slightly. She sat down beside Theo and said, "Seeing you drinking alone here, I feel like having a drink too." Theo was completely dumbfounded this time. The man reborn turned into the villain in the novel. He wanted to get rid of the female lead, who had been pursuing him relentlessly for 3 years. He didn't hesitate to portray himself as a scumbag to get rid of her. Unexpectedly, the female lead didn't follow the script. Theo was completely baffled. It seems that he can only be more ruthless. He only saw him clasping Maya's hands tightly, showing a lewd expression, provokingly. Maya's body trembled, almost slapping Theo backhandedly to death. Quinn felt both angry and amused in his heart. This guy's terrible acting is trying to force me to leave. No way. Quinn reached out and grabbed Theo's arm. Theo seriously doubted whether Quinn was possessed. "What about your identity and position?" Quinn said softly. "For the past 3 years, I have tested you. I have caused you a lot of grievances. But from now on, I want to make you the happiest man in the world." Theo took a deep breath, feeling his legs go a bit weak. This woman, she's really going to be the death of me. She wants to play for real, doesn't she? It's just a matter of underestimating the opponent. Theo sneered coldly, then hugged Maya and stood up, leaving number 1 stage. Elias stood dumbfounded on the side. "Why are all of you so wild today?" Maya, who was being hugged by Theo, was ready to fight at any moment. Fortunately, after Theo hugged her and spun her around, he took her out through the back door of the Galaxy Club. Theo took off the valuable watch on his hand and gave it to Maya as a gift. "I like responsible girls like you, who don't constantly ask for money. I'll go back and talk to her about getting a divorce. Let's have a drink together next time." After saying that, Theo swaggered back into the Galaxy Club. No matter how good Quinn's acting skills were, ultimately, he was 1 step ahead. Maya, upon hearing these words, will definitely tell Chris and call him a fool. He wouldn't think that he was competing with him for a woman, right? Maya casually put away the watch that Theo gave her, quickly returned to the car, and dialed Chris's phone number with her mobile phone. "What's wrong? Is the mission still going smoothly?" came Chris's voice from the other end of the phone. Maya was quite happy to hear Chris calling her as usual. However, after hearing what Theo said in her heart, her mindset has undergone some subtle changes. She felt a bit repulsed subconsciously by Chris's intimate nickname. She even thought he was somewhat hypocritical. She was already close to her goal. However, she encountered Theo and Quinn when nearing the goal. Chris on the other end of the phone was already furious. He would never allow anyone to touch the woman he liked. Maya requested a change of plan upon seeing this. She decided to infiltrate the Quinn family, to get closer to Theo in order to better protect Quinn. She is no longer committed to completing the mission. She simply wants to get closer to Theo to hear more information from him. Perhaps, she is seeking an answer to something she has been investigating all along. To protect her harem, Chris had no choice but to agree. Maya hung up the phone with a look of disdain after listening to Theo's heartfelt words. Her attitude towards Chris became even more contemptuous. When Theo returned to stage number 1, Quinn was already lying on the table. "Theo has a bad headache. If this woman can't drink, she shouldn't drink. It's not necessary to push herself so hard to perform a show. What if she takes advantage of others when they're in danger? It's better to just honestly be a villain for now and live on." Theo lifted Quinn up and immediately felt a soft and fluffy mass on his back. The man was reborn as the villain in the novel. He changed from being a simp and started to put a green hat on the female lead. Unexpectedly, his true feelings were heard once again. To prevent Theo from succeeding, Quinn pretended to be a little tipsy and leaned against Theo's shoulder. Theo pushed her head away without hesitation. But Quinn just giggled foolishly, then stuck to Theo again. Then she said in an unimaginably sweet voice, "I just want to stick to you." Theo looked puzzled at first, then remembered. When this woman was very young, her mother passed away from cancer. Her father, Ryan, has a strong personality and is busy revitalizing the Quinn family, so he doesn't have much time to spend with her. Under loneliness and pressure, she has developed a stubborn and competitive personality. She has also become increasingly cold and independent. Once she gets drunk, she reveals her vulnerable and clingy side. But what will you do when she shows me this side? Watching Quinn trying to climb onto him, Theo made a concerted effort to push her away. But he overestimated himself. Due to the brain-dead author setting, as a villain, he is just an ordinary Mr. Perfect with lousy combat capabilities. As the first female lead, Quinn has a certain level of martial arts skills. Dealing with 2 or 3 big men is a piece of cake for her. When Quinn climbs onto him, she says, "Come on, give me a kiss." She pouts and starts to shake her head side to side, inching closer to Theo. Theo tries hard to resist, but his hands are tightly held by her. He can only shake his head vigorously to dodge. Let her press a fierce kiss. Wait for her to sober up. Thinking about it later, he couldn't kill himself over this mess. In Theo's constant struggle, Quinn didn't kiss his mouth, but his face couldn't escape. "I kissed you so many times. Why don't you kiss me back?" Theo is about to cry. This is not Quinn. This is a thirsty female demon. Quinn suddenly put her face over and said pitifully, "Don't ignore me. This time let me lick you, okay?" She suddenly acted coquettishly. Theo really couldn't resist it for a moment. But a few seconds after she said this, she fell asleep lying on top of Theo. Theo let out a long sigh. This woman has finally calmed down. If she keeps causing trouble, his pure body might be defiled by her. After driving for another 10 minutes, he finally returned to the Quinn family. Theo had no intention of sending Quinn back. She was so drunk. It would be difficult to explain to the Quinn family if he sent her back. Carrying Quinn on his back, Theo had just gotten off the car when he saw his old man David standing at the entrance. David's face was as dark as coal at the moment. Half an hour ago, he was resting at home playing with his phone. Suddenly, an old friend sent him a video link. He clicked on it and saw his son with a smug face, embracing 4 women and drinking. This guy even shouted, "I'm not scum. I just want to give them a home." This really infuriated him. Now he sees Theo getting down from the car with a woman on his back, still with lipstick marks on his face. He slowly pulled out his own belt. Theo was so scared that he almost jumped up. He had already guessed what his own father wanted to do. David sneered. He tightened the belt in his hand and said, "You're quite capable, kid. Only after the marriage is settled do you start showing your true colors, huh?" Theo quickly threw the pot out. It's not someone else. It's Quinn making a short video for fun. Elias asked me to help shoot it, saying it's to increase followers. David stared at her for a few moments and realized that she was indeed his future daughter-in-law. This softened his expression a bit, and he slowly put the belt back. After returning home, Quinn, who had already fallen asleep, slowly opened her eyes. By now, she had fully woken up. Or rather, she wasn't as drunk as she seemed to be in the beginning. While she was in the car, she was drunk but still rational. However, under the influence of alcohol, she didn't really want to maintain her rationality. However, after completely sobering up now, she does feel a bit embarrassed thinking about it.